Howdy folks, welcome back to Let's Play Red Dead Redemption. I'm the Mysterious JG. I was intending to mosey on into one long play session that would allow me to wrap up the main story, but I'm not sure that I give myself enough time. So instead we're going to mosey on into however much we can get recorded before I have to take a break. But we are pretty close to the end of this game. As a matter of fact, I do believe that in this mission we will finally be going after Bill Williamson. Not Bill Williamson. That would be a major step back. It might be something we would do an Undead Nightmare. No, in fact, in this mission, I think we're finally going after Dutch Vanderland. Now, you'll remember that the game was almost halfway over before we finally took out Bill Williamson. And even before we took out Bill Williamson, we took out Javier Escuela, who it seemed we had positioned to be our second big target. And in fact, the structure of the game was a lot like that. It looked like you were going to get three bosses, and Dutch would be the last. But in fact, by the time you've taken care of Bill Williamson and Dutch, there's not that much left to do. Sorry, when you take care of Bill Williamson and Javier Escuela, there's not a big, long finale, multiple missions across with Dutch. You kind of know where he is, and he's not hiding. He's got a... I'm sorry to hear about that, Mario. It sounds like Super Mario. The Super Mario Brothers Super Show is worried about the Mexican Civil War. I don't know who this gentleman is supposed to be, but it's kind of a generic, old-timey portrait. But yeah, we're,
I know about you. I do.
Dutch Vanderland, not a good guy, or anything like that, but, Prairie Moon Gin. Good for the tooth. Yeah, oh, there's nothing like drinking a whole bunch of gin to fix your teeth. For sure. No, but Dutch Vanderland, kind of a bad dude. Like, there was a lot of questions. Like, we knew that John Marston used to work for him and even admired him, but he'd hinted that Dutch had gone a little crazy. And sure enough, when we finally meet Dutch, he shoots a woman through the back of the head. After, like, he's using her as a hostage to escape, which is, like, not exactly fine, but at least you get it. But then he freaking shoots her in the back of the head just to be an asshole. Basically, he seems to do it to make John Marston feel bad.
Ain't it a great day for buying firearms?
Every day's a great day for buying firearms, friend.
Hey, partner.
Take a look at what we got. You won't be disappointed.
Buy a bunch of throwing knives, I suppose.
Wonderful.
But I don't really know how many of those we need. Well, I got 700 something bucks. I should probably not be wasting money. Buy one type of ammo for each weapon. Certain guns are not available, and I'm not sure why, but I think we'll be fine. Yeah, but anyway, now Dutch seems to be a bit off, and
Hello, Mr. Marston.
hello, random stranger, handsome stranger, Buff Bagwell. It's not super clear whether John feels any kind of personal responsibility to deal with him, because we know he's only doing what he's doing because he's being coerced by the Bureau of Investigation. But he's, you know, he's trying to help his family. He's been essentially kidnapped by the Bureau of Investigation. But at the same time, it's kind of like he seems to realize that Dutch is bad and needs to be stopped. And it doesn't really seem like there's anybody else who's fit for the task. Now, with Bill Williamson and Javier Escuela, it just seems like they needed somebody. Well, we knew where Bill Williamson was. He was in a fort with a bunch of hombres. No one knew where Javier Escuela was. So John doing his whole series of missions kind of seemed like it was... I'm just slowly walking around so we can take in the period detail. Job printing, newspaper offices, while I talk. But yeah, it made some sense, I guess, with Javier Escuela that, well, we don't know where he is, and he's outside of the country, so we're going to make John Marston do our dirty work. For Bill Williamson, it really just seemed odd that they would send this one guy out against an entire army of killers. And now we've got that same situation here with Dutch Vanderland, young fella. It really seems like the Bureau should just, like, get the freaking Army to deal with this. If these guys are that dangerous. Or the Bureau themselves. I guess we'll see where it's going. And you will know the truth. But will the truth set us free? Oh, our friends.
What do you want, Marston?
I think we could just join the Bureau after this.
I've done what you asked.
No, you haven't. This is the land of opportunity, and I gave you the opportunity to save your family, and you failed. How could I possibly reward you?
Marston, you're a public menace. We should have had you killed.
Well, there's still time for
I wish
that.
you had. But since you didn't, where's my family?
Spare me the noble savage fall on the sword tripe, will you, oh boy? It's nauseating. You don't wish to be dead.
Are you sure?
You're an insignificant creature desperately clinging on to life like the rest of the scum in this town.
I wish a great rain would come and wash away all the scum in the city.
I know it's tough. You like Dutch. He's a charming fellow. He makes sense. He's like one of those nature writers from back east. Only he takes things a tiny little step too far.
Well, Walden Pond featured a woman being shot through the back of the head, didn't it?
Loving the flowers and the animals and the harmony between man and beast. He shoots people in the head for money.
I think Whitman used to do that.
He's a goddamn killer.
Now, I'm not a great intellect, but the metaphysical leap from admiring the flower to shooting a man in the head because he doesn't like the flower is a leap too far.
It's all very interesting, but I'm not advocating either position, so why are you arguing with me?
I know. It's easy. You see, me and Archer, we're the bad guys. We enforce the rules.
Well, you're the bad cop.
While
You should
the
have a
rules
good
may
cop
not
to
be
pair with you.
perfect, they're really not so bad.
Exactly.
Good rules, bad cops.
What's the alternative?
Yeah. See, I'll tell you what the alternative is. It's not complicated. It's about one man and his gun versus another man.
Well, the only thing that can stop a bad man with a gun is
Sure.
well, you know.
Civilization may be dull, but the alternative, Mr. Marston, is hell.
It's a whole world full of Wyoming.
And the way you enforce this civilization, this freedom for men to like or not like flowers, or whatever in God's name you were just talking about, is to kidnap a man's wife and son?
Well, the hypocrisy of our plot is pretty apparent, but
I know there's contradictions. I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah, as I said, I'm not a great intellect.
that's why I got into law enforcement.
After the debacle with the army and the bank, we have to put Mr. Vanderlyn to rest ourselves.
Well, wasn't that always the plan?
Will you help us?
Do I have any choice?
Now that you mention it, no.
Then what was that pretty speech in aid of?
I don't rightly know, but it sure felt good saying it.
Shall we, Mr. Marston?
Let's go.
Come on. We've had some speech to find. We've convinced ourselves this is literature and not just a video game. Time to start doing some shooting mechanics. I'm with Marston. All of his stuff about, like, Whitman and Leaves of Grass, it didn't really... What the hell did it have to do with anything? Has Vanderlyn actually come out at some point as a naturalist? He doesn't like civilization from the East Coast. Well, here's the army.
Let's see if we can put this to rest once and for all, shall we?
Come quick. Take a look at this thing.
Might take a few continues, but we should be able to do this.
Have you seen this? It's got a gun all by more day.
Boom.
Iron Dragon.
So we got a whole bunch of, like, hackneyed
They told me about
yokels
these.
react to
The
a
Army's
truck.
building them in secret.
Oh, so yeah, it's an armored car, basically. This is the equivalent of the Rhino tank in this game.
Be turning a few heads.
Our armed forces have no equal. We have made incredible progress the past few years.
Is that what you
And
call
this
it?
isn't much more than a simple prototype.
Yeah, I
You
wasn't
should see
done
what they're
talking.
working on in Virginia. Soon there will be no war we can't win.
Well, here in Virginia, they just got done electing the first openly
Mariners
transgender
make
punk
camp a little
rocker.
way
I'm pretty.
outside town. They put word
I
out
might be
a
getting
large
ahead of
cache
current
ammunition
events for
and
my
food
time, but-
stored there.
Vanderland's gang needs constant supplies, so that should be enough to draw him in.
No mistakes this time.
Wait, who was that? Was that
You
a
hear me,
completely new
Marston?
character?
I thought you were talking to Fordham.
Matter of fact, I'm gonna kill you now.
Marston, why in the hell are you shooting?
At me. So we're driving right through an army base.
Look, they brought the machine gun.
Now they have a machine gun. Ho, ho, ho. Why doesn't the army attack Vanderland?
What's the word, Captain?
We
Thunderbird.
spotted one of Dutch's men about an hour ago. I think he took the bait.
Let's get
Grumble,
in position
grumble.
then. Have your men ready to run them down
Wants
if you
enemy
have
bait.
to.
Dismiss. Load weapons and get to the sand.
Why is, if they don't trust Marston, they think he's a
Are you
killer
ready to
thug,
finish this, Mr.
why are they
Marston?
putting him
I
in
guess so.
control of the gun? Now I know I'll get game over if I turn on them, but... Okay, so they seem to be bracing for an attack from Vanderland's
Keep
forces.
your eyes peeled.
I don't know that we actually have reason to suspect. Well, they say they're okay, so they're luring them out with supplies. Supplies. And I'm keeping my eyes peeled.
Targets on the horizon. Fire at will.
Oh no! I had
Keep them
talk
back.
about this and I kind of forgot about it. I had somebody that I was even going to look up their YouTube username so I could
Keep going.
reply specifically. He was kind of calling me out on my horrible gameplay and just inability to use a lot of game mechanics. And my big takeaway from what they said was basically you don't have to be very good at this game to win the story missions. But they said that they were hoping that at least the tips they gave me on how the sniper rifle scope works. But I'm not sure. See, it's like, I'm not sure who to shoot at because I figure some of these guys are U.S. Army soldiers. And I'm starting to think that the Army guys are not even writing out code.
You paid for this.
Oh, they killed me with dynamite, huh? Okay, so I think I'll just kill everybody who's out there in the line of fire. Because there were certain people, like if people rode in with horses, I figured they might have been U.S. cavalry. And now the person who actually killed me there wasn't on a horse, so... There will just be some guys
Hold
just
your fire
spontaneously
until I give the
appear.
word.
Like they won't come in from a distance like hazy, like we couldn't see them until they got as close as they did. They'll just like teleport in here in a moment. It's kind of amusing actually.
There they are! Open fire!
Oh, actually, they did a better job of making it realistic that time. They kind of ran into behind a tree.
Gun them now! Keep them back!
Too damn close. Where are they coming from? They're like rats.
How many freaking disgruntled Native American dudes are working for Vanderlands anyway?
Don't let him get too close!
The armored car basically just seems to be drawing in
Kill those
attention
bastards!
directly to me so that no one else is absorbing any of it.
Time to bitches.
Look, they're running! Move out! Don't let them get away!
Well, wait a minute. What about the super... About to say, we got this awesome armored car. Let's chase them.
Right! Things a lot bumpier off the road!
It's gonna be a mess if we have to follow them into the woods.
Yeah, I would really suggest not following.
Shut up and drive, Fordham! Look out behind those rocks!
Hold them off!
Alright, so we got a lot of exciting getting killed dynamite action here. I don't think you get to use red eye in this one. Oh, I completely forgot now. I've tried to do that. That didn't happen. Yep. Boy, I probably should have gone back and reread that. Because the problem is, this guy sent me a comment with some gameplay tips saying, hey, it's kind of frustrating that you're this far into the game and you don't seem to know some basic mechanics. Here's me trying to help. And he actually wrote the comment using correct grammar. So I was inclined to actually kind of, listen. Maybe I can quick find it. You know what? I'll find it between videos. So it's like, wow, the guy spelled everything correctly. He's got proper punctuation. He's basically calling me out and just making fun of my gameplay, but he spelled his words correctly. So I guess I should actually treat it seriously. And wrote back and was like, hey, yeah, I realize that I'm not using red eye that much, and I haven't always been good at figuring out the cover system. And I've even joked myself about how I'm on these missions with the Mexican army backing me up or the rebels backing me up and letting them do some of the work while I'm looting. And he's calling me out for all these things. I'm like, hey, you know that this LP's like 75% over now, right? And he's like, yeah, well, maybe some of it'll still be useful. You're not the worst I've ever seen. But no, my big takeaway from the conversation was after getting over, like, you say, okay, well, the guy's not cussing me out, so I guess I won't just respond like as a generic YouTube troll. But my big takeaway is, wow, there are a lot of gameplay mechanics and cover and stuff you don't really ever have to master to win the game. You can just stumble fuck your way through a lot.
Stop shooting at me!
Stop shooting at me and I'll stop shooting at you. Is it a deal?
I'm trying my best, sir.
Get those men behind the rocks!
Goddamn savages! You fucking bitch! What is it with these people?
What do you mean, you
We'll kill every last one of you!
Oh, Kronos! Nah, they've never been good at the rail shooter portions of video games anyway. Like, they always throw one in at the end of a Metal Gear Solid game. It's like, hey, you've been playing an entire game using sneaking mechanics. Now here's you not controlling where your character goes as you're constantly being shot. There's not too many missions like this. Matter of fact, I'm almost positive this is the last time we're going to do a rail shooter sequence.
Come and get me!
Go get some. Try to aim at the rocks when they're
hiding behind the rock! Gun them down!
Yes, the last refuge of the dam. We're minimizing reference control.
Kill those bastards!
Come on, I got that guy like 10 times. Fair, I got you. You're dead.
Keep them back!
Oh, listen.
Where are they coming from? They're like rats!
Okay, now at this point, I no longer just shoot at everybody on horseback because eventually I'm killing my own men. A la Groucho Marx in Duck Soup. So this has been a great start to my recording session. Let's see how many times we can die on the rail shooter sequence.
Any more of you? God damn it!
Look out behind those rocks!
Hold them off!
Whoa! Oh, there was a guy on the right that I just completely ignored. And skip checkpoint, because yes, this is the game that introduces the mechanic of, wow, JG, you're terrible. Okay, look, you don't have to beat this part, buddy. Like, no, I'm going to play through the whole thing 100 times. That's what it takes. Oh, shit. Sorry, I got distracted for a second there.
Christ! This thing's a lot bumpier off the road.
It's gonna be a mess if we have to follow them into the woods.
This is insanity! I can hardly hold on!
Just shut up and drive, Fordham!
Okay, so there might have been some guys out for the,
Get those men behind the rock!
Take him down! What is it with these people?
that one guy.
Kill those bastards!
Got by them without killing them all.
No!
The thing is to kill the guys that are trying to put dynamite.
Don't let him get too close!
I mean, I know I missed a whole bunch of guys, but basically I'm not shooting at guys that are like way behind me now. I figure they had their chance. They didn't kill me yet. I can look at wagon.
That wagon's out of control! It's coming straight at our cavalry!
And I think we got to a cinematic where the truck explodes anyway. It's like rescuing Guan Yu. You have to make sure he dies at the time he's supposed to die. Don't let him get blown up too soon. So we had to reach the point where it's safe for the car to be blown up by the plot. Boy, I sure hope both of these FBI agents are okay. It would be a real tragedy if something happened to either one of them. Get off me, U.S. Army soldier, man. Oh, what am I talking about? I should be grateful. Support the troops. Sorry, I killed a bunch of you back there.
Well, Mr. Marston, it seems like your mentor Dutch no longer looks quite so kindly to his student.
That man is insane.
The membrane.
So it seems.
I think we need to get him before sundown.
As you say, Captain. Otherwise, he'll be gone again.
And what if I say no?
What do you have to
Now,
do with
before I
the
shoot you
armies here?
myself, let me just point out the obvious. The one person we have left that can appeal to Mr. Vanderlyn is the last person we know who knows him.
Because we've killed the rest.
Your wife.
Oh. Oops.
That won't be necessary. Mr. Ross, Captain.
That's a
let's
good
go.
point I'd completely forgotten about. They could try to use his kidnapped wife as a bargaining chip, and that would not make John Marston very happy. So let's ride with the group here. Apparently somebody else wrapped up all those Dutch Vanderlyn warriors that I missed.
I can't believe Vanderlyn has built himself a fortress in the mountains.
Seems like a
He's
good idea to
crazy,
me.
but he certainly ain't
You've
stupid.
already seen that
Stupid
place,
crazy.
right? McDougal told me you went up there with that Indian chap.
I seen it all right. We'll be lucky to last 5 minutes with this many men.
So bring some more. We've got the army on our side
Governor
now.
Johns is going to be very pleased.
Nate Johns? What's he got to do with any of this?
Let's just say he has a vested interest in cleaning the filth out of this region. I
That's
don't
been
think
the
our
entire
old friend
backstory,
Dutch
man.
realizes what a great favor he has done us, inciting all this hate among the natives.
Like you needed an excuse.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's the whole background plot is that there's this guy
See,
running
this
for
is what
governor,
happens when you
stirring
fraternize
all this
with
shit up.
How could you ever follow a man like that?
How could you ever follow a man like Ross?
Good point. I take it all
Vanderlyn
back.
is a psychopath, a murderer, and a rapist.
It's a
Ross
rapist.
don't seem too different. Dutch was a good man once. A far better man than you.
So what made him this way?
I don't know. Bastards like you. Seeing that things never change.
People not liking flowers. That drives a man crazy after
I'll
a
be
while.
ready to finish this mess.
Anything to get you sons of bitches off my back.
There's always somebody watching, Mr. Marston. I thought you'd have gleaned that much by now.
I don't know if anybody's
you think
watching
you're
this.
so clever, don't you?
No, it's you who thought you were clever.
You're so
You thought you
funny,
could just
cute.
walk away from your old life. Make no mistake. We have been watching.
Don't speak to me.
Don't comment on my videos. Comments are disabled from now on. You're really an ungrateful slug, Marston. Instead of punishing you for your crimes, we are giving you a chance to kill the men who betrayed you.
You didn't have to punish my wife, too.
Well, they betrayed her too.
She's hardly innocent.
Don't you talk about her like that.
Oh, I would never talk ill of dear Abby. Do you call her Abby or Abigail? I thought you'd been watching. I prefer Abby. No, I like the woman. A little rough for my taste, but very pleasant.
I can't wait to put a bullet in your head.
Well, you probably don't want to threaten the man if you still got your family.
When will this be over?
It's you who's been dragging it out, not us. We sent you to Fort Mercer with the simple task of killing Bill Williamson.
It took you
Next
like
thing
10
you know,
missions to do
you're
it.
running all over Mexico like a headless chicken.
And now it's Dutch.
So he's the last one of your merry band, is he not? Then you can go back to your farm, or what's left of it. If need be,
Burned it down,
you can
you know.
always send your wife back out to work. I hear she works hard.
Go to hell.
Yeah, she, I don't know if we're supposed to know this at this point, but she used to be a woman of the
die
night.
easily, will it? I wonder how many deaths you are all responsible for. How much money you took from pockets of hard-working citizens.
We did more for the people with the money we took than the damn government ever did.
Good God! This flawed philosophy yours again. If you wish to argue the
Philosophy.
finer points of ethics, I suggest you learn to read first.
And I suggest you learn how to shoot people in the front, not the back.
That's my ethics. It's all centered on shooting people in the front. Shooting in the front, party in the back.
Yeah, so Abigail Marston was a prostitute before she married John, which basically means when they're saying you can send your wife out to work again, they are not attempting to endear themselves to John Marston. Meanwhile, all these anonymous army soldiers are like, what is with these guys, man? I thought we were on our way to a mission. They're like, they're going to kill each other before we get there. Oh well, roll tide on that. Because all army guys are friendly. That's not what they're saying. Nice long ride between these two missions, though. Because that whole rail shooter sequence is clearly it's the same mission as this, but I believe we're done with that kind of nonsense from now on. The awesome power of that tank, though, that was pretty impressive. GTA missions usually like to give you at least one mission where you're in a super-powered tank or something, and untouchable. Not really so much in this game, how it worked. Stop talking about GTA. That was the other thing that annoyed the guy. Talking over cutscenes and talking about GTA while simultaneously not being able to work the cover mechanic. It'll all be over soon, folks. My refusal to write single file with everyone else. By the time we get up to the finish this ride, because we don't have the option of skipping to the end of this one. We could skip to the end of the much shorter ride in the car. This one we don't get to skip. By the time we're done with this, it'll be pretty much time to call it a video. Still, though, in fairness, it's giving us a little sense of scale. Because you're now in, like, snow-capped mountains. It would have been weird if we jumped straight from our last mission, which was very much not in snow-capped mountains, to snow-capped mountains without a little bit of a hustle. A hike, I should say. Well, we're almost at the end of this ride, and I figured when we get to the end of the ride, there'll be more dialogue and stuff. So we're going to call it a video, and when we come back, I will be stumbling around without using cover properly and looting bodies. I may not bother to loot bodies. We are very close to being out of things that you can use money for in the game. But I probably will stumble around not using cover very well, because that's just how I've been playing the game. I'm MysteriousJG. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you join me next time as we continue our final push against Dutch Vanderland.